Okay, now we're going to talk about the ribbon, and you can modify the ribbon with custom actions, but it's a little bit more complicated than the examples that I've been shown so far. And the easiest way to actually get started building custom actions for the ribbon is to use SharePoint Designer, and that allows you the creation of custom actions for list item menu, display form ribbon, edit form ribbon, new form ribbon, and view ribbon. Again, the ribbon is modified using the custom action element. So we can do view ribbon, display edit new form ribbons, save site as template, and then what we do is once you save the site as a template, then you can import the SharePoint solution package. The location values for the SharePoint Designer created actions are command.ui.ribbon, which is any ribbon group. Command.ui.ribbon.listView is a group on the items or documents ribbon. And then command.ui.ribbon.editForm, which is a group on the edit form for a list. And then new form corresponds to the form for adding a new item on a list. And then the display form is the ribbon when you just do the view the properties of a list item. Okay, the global ribbon definition is in the SharePoint root, and that's in the 15 hive under global XML CMDUI.XML. And the reason why I'm including it here is it's good to use as a reference when you're creating custom action. You can use it to identify the location values. So if you want to know like incoming links on a wiki page, the command is incoming links. And there's tabs, groups. So in this case, this is the wiki page tab. And then you have controls. So in the custom action, you specify the ID and the location. Where does that custom action apply? And then you enter the command UI extension element that has no attributes. And then the command UI definition, which is the location attribute ribbon group or control that you're going to replace. So that's where you put in the XML for your specific controls like a button or checkbox or whatever. And then the command UI handlers, there's no attributes. And then this is important, the command UI handler is the action for control events. So that whatever you call your handler, that has to match up in your command UI definition. There's a command attribute. Those two have to match up. So the control links command UI handler via the command attribute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to our Visual Studio solution and create a button on the ribbon. Okay, back in the Visual Studio solution now, and I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to bring up the CMDUI.XML file. So I actually have that as a recent file, so let's just bring that up. Kind of take a look at, see some of the, for example, let's go to page actions, what we were talking about in the last slide. And here is the section for the page actions group. And so if I go in SharePoint, I'm on the page, I click on the page ribbon. This is the page actions group right here, and notice how you see make home page and incoming links. And if I come in here, here is make home page. The command is called set home page, but you can't actually see the text for it is actually label text is localized, but it's actually it says make home page. And then here's this associated, there's the next button for incoming links. And again, it's all been localized here, so the language is using resource files to get the correct language in the buttons. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our own. But I'm going to go and add a new item, create an empty element again. I'm going to call it I'll just call it library actions, because we'll create it for a document library. And I'll just start my custom action element here. And I'm going to say for the ID, I'll set it. ID, it doesn't matter what you put for the ID again, it could just be anything unique. So ID hello ribbon and description, or sorry, this is the important part, location. We have to tell our custom action that this is going to be in the ribbon, so this is going to be CMDUI.ribbon. That's important because that specifies that this is going to be in the ribbon. Okay, now we can start entering in our extension for the ribbon. So we use command extension, command UI extension. That has no attributes. It has some child elements. So now we need to specify a definition, and it's a collection. So now we'll do the definition, and we need to give that attribute. So location, we'll just keep it as blank for now. We'll come back and set that later. Now underneath the definition, under definitions, we need to add the handlers. So the command UI handlers, so the command UI definitions are what define the buttons, and the handlers are what are the actions that execute when the buttons are clicked. So we're just going to have one handler, and command is going to be hello.button.say hello. Okay, and command action equals, well, this is where we put in the JavaScript. Okay, so now we have our handler all set up. So now what we need to do is set the location. So the location is going to be, I have actually copied this before, so the location is ribbon.library. So let me just copy this in and then we'll go over it. Okay. This tells SharePoint where this lives. So this is the ribbon, the library actions ribbon. So for a document library, and the controls, we have to say children because we want this to be, our item in the ribbon has to be a children of the group, of this controls group. Okay, so then, so we have that. Have our location. Now we need to define our button. So we'll say, put in a button element. ID. Again, this can be any unique value. Okay, we'll set the command. So this is really important right here, setting the command, because we have to wire this up to the handler. So we have to match this exactly. So I'm going to cut and paste, or I'm going to copy and paste this right here, because this is how the button gets wired up to the command right here. Okay, now image. So image 32 by 32 equals, I'm going to put just leave that for now, image 16 by 16. Okay, I'm going to leave that also. We'll do that in a second. And then sequence. Sequence is important because it tells it what sequence in that group do you want to show up. And I'm going to just put 1001 because I want ours to show up last. Typically they start with like 10, 20, and they go from like 10, 20, 30. And then label text. What do we want this to say? Let's have it display say hello. That's the action. And description. Run some script. Okay, and then template alias. I know what this is because I've already seen this before, but if we go into the, let's go back to our recent files. I know that that template, I know that this uses that, so if I copy this, so I know, oh, okay, so this is 01, not 02, so I'll put, or sorry, 01. Actually, it's not, that's not what we want. We want, oh, we'll put it in 02. 02 is fine. So that's where it's going to go. So we have 02 set up using that template alias, and we just need to fill in these images now. So I have selected some images already from the 15 Hive, or from the from the 15 Hive. So here is our images. These are what shows up. These are the images that show up in the UI. In this case, we're going to be using this 16 by 16 image. Okay, so we can go ahead and deploy this. And actually, we can't do it yet because we forgot our registration type and registration ID, which we did before. So registration type, we want this to be list because the document library is a list, and then registration ID, document library, so it's our template ID is 101. Now we'll deploy this. First of all, before we do that, let's go make sure it's not already there. I've run this a few times. So if I go here, go to library, it's not here. So we're actually going to be putting it in connect and export. So let's close this, and I'm going to deploy this. Okay, now if I bring this back up, okay, now our site's back up. So I'm going to click on Documents, go to our library, and you can see our icon is right here, and it says say hello, so I'll go ahead and click that, and it runs our JavaScript. So that shows how you can add a custom button to the ribbon, and we did it declaratively, and we actually associated it with our document library.